prize money for today, so not a bad day. This man, Conor Mag, on top, $25,000 and an Isuzu MUX.
All right, and welcome back to episode, I think it's 11. I actually had a little bit of fun doing the last one because it's so easy just to talk off the cuff and, you know, do little 10, 20-second spells of chat rather than just like going on and on and on and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a little bit more fun. Allows me to be a little bit creative, so kind of enjoyed it. 10 whole views, love it. So shout out to the 10 people, or I probably watched it 2-3 times, so shout out to the 7 people who watch it, really appreciate it. But today I just finished a session with C-Mags, Connor, who just won the Shaw and Partners Iron Series. So sorry, I had to move. I was melting in my car. It's usually the only place I get peace and quiet, but here we are. Anyways, as I was saying, I need to be flexible. Need to make sure I just kind of give him an effective minimum dose and give him what he's missing. So I think a lot of coaches or people freak out and get in the weeds of this needs to be specific, or this periodization plan needs to look like this, rather than just kind of looking in front of you and going, okay, well, this is what he needs right now. So for example, last week he came in, he was just so tired. I go, okay, well, let's just focus on doing like the muscle groups. So we just did some some rows, some leg extension, just to kind of focus on like, give him enough of a stimulus in targeted areas like quads, hams, and back, rather than like compound lifts, which is probably just cook his nervous system a little bit. So just enough, to, again, minimum effective dose. So nothing too hectic. And he come in this week now, like just an hour or so ago, and he's got state coming up, and then he's got nationals coming up. So it's super important that, he hasn't had like a really tough gym stimulus in a while. So we need to build his strength back up. Not necessarily his strength, but we need to raise the intensity up a little bit somewhere. So we did some trap bar. We did, again, short range of motion. We did 4 sets by 2. So like 8 reps in total. But just enough to create a bit of a stimulus. I'll show you, I took a few clips, but just stuff that, for me, he needs to get in areas like a full body, like a compound lift. It's important he does some rows. It's important he does some tricep work. And for me, that's, again, a lot of swimming work and rowing and pulling and extending elbows and all that kind of stuff. So I just need to make sure he gets enough stimulus and heavy stimulus or high stimulus to make sure he's not de-training, because he's got a big couple of weeks coming up. It's super important that we don't, wrap him in cotton wool and this little note is for any PTs, trainers, whatever out there. Lens and how you look at things is super important. It'll kind of dictate your values, and it'll dictate how you train people as well. So just kind of having a few concepts in your head while you train people is super important. What you need and don't need. And some of my concepts and values that I always think about is minimum effective dose. So not doing too much, but like just enough to improve these qualities. I don't want to run athletes into the ground. It's super easy for strength coaches to be like more weight, heavier strength is always best. But from a longevity perspective, it's just not going to work. And particularly if you want guys to perform on game day or race day, is super important. And then another concept is give them what they're missing. So for Connor, I probably don't need to do all this high rep shoulder stuff because he's getting that in swimming, or these high rep rows. But what he's not getting is super heavy stuff. and this again a very high stimulus. So I'm going to keep the sets high and the reps low and not accumulate too much fatigue. And then just on a side note, for any footy players out there, this is how I kind of do that as well. So in like warm-ups as well. So I'll give people their plyos, their pogos, a lot of their speed stuff that they're probably not getting in their gym programs. Yeah, I could put them in their gym programs, but then how long's the gym program going to be? I want the gym program to be intense. So 45 minutes, maybe an hour, in, out, get the stuff, get out. So for a lot of the warm-ups, I'll do like a lot of their jumps, their landings, and get the exposure there. So that's super important. So for any PTs out there, kind of figure out what's important to you in regards to, like, is a warm-up important to you? Is like getting the brain and cognitive function increase important to you, and like, or is whatever, kind of figure out what's important to you, what do you value, and what's the benefit for the athlete, not just what you enjoy and what's best for you, but you kind of need to figure out what works for the athlete, or just have these overall ideas, or what lens you look through. That's a super important word. And make sure we're kind of bridging that gap between not training or not doing something exhausting, and then, you know, being prepared, basically preparing him for heavy output. So he needs to be exposed to those kind of high loads, essentially. So here's a little clip of the session. Hope you enjoy it. So in those little pieces, we have a heavy row. It was like 4 sets of 3, and so something heavy for our back, and then we had a heavy tricep cable extension, which is, again, we did 4 sets of 4 on that one. I'm really loving that one at the moment. Just get a juicy amount of stimulus in our triceps. And then we did some speed work. So we did some throws supersetted with the rows, like a half kneeling punch pass. And then we also did, I can't remember what it supersetted with, but we did some of the half kneeling wood chops. Again, more rotational speed work. So speed will always be in the program. It's very low, it won't cook you, but just having those speed qualities is just super important, whether it be a core, upper body, or lower body. But that's about it for this episode. Kind of enjoying this. Hopefully it's not too windy right now, but if you want to see anything a little bit different, message me on Instagram and I'll hopefully do something, whatever, a bit more fun.